Hey, thanks for stopping by. It's me, Will, and I'm back to brew some shenanigans. Today I want to share one of my own decks that I've playtested and piloted in games with our featured commander, Mishra, Eminent One. To quickly go through him, he's a 5 mana value 5/4 human artificer, and at the beginning of combat on our turn, we create a token copy of a non-creature artifact we control. This token's name is Mishra's Warform. It's a 4/4 construct that has haste, and it sacrifices itself at the beginning of our next end step. So a few notes here. Mishra wants non-creature artifacts. We can also copy a legendary artifact since the token's name will be Mishra's Warform. And finally, we can double up on ETB and LTBs, or enters the battlefield and leaves the battlefield triggers. I'll go over the themes of my deck, but I'm gonna skip the staples and instead spend more time talking about specific card choices I made when tweaking this deck. And if you haven't dropped by my channel before, then I'll be upfront and say this isn't about making the most competitive build possible. Instead, I try to focus on table interaction, card synergy, and winning the game, but more importantly, winning some friends. So if you're into that, be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and let's get to brewing. So I call this deck the Mishra Mathers LP, because you know, he's the Eminem one. I hate myself. We'll have our marquee themes of ramp removal and draw, then I'll go into our other deck themes of copy, cheat, dirty dozen, and something we like to call UBP or utilities, bombs, and pets. We're gonna rely on mana rocks, and while ramp is one of the most important things you can do in Commander, we wanna hit these as well as our land drops, so don't go light on lands just because you have a lot of rocks. As a matter of fact, Mycosynth Wellspring is an artifact that ensures we hit our land drops. However, beyond mana, we also want some versatility, and I like Mindstone, Commander Sphere, and the Mightstone and Weakstone as ways for us to draw. I also run cost reducers in Semblance Anvil and Cloud Key, usually naming artifacts. Although, if I'm being honest, there are days I want to cut Semblance Anvil. I don't know, going down a card sometimes just doesn't feel great because it's card disadvantage. And so on the bubble, I keep Horde Hauler. It's a vehicle you can copy with Mishra, and something Mishra can also crew, and the trample usually allows it to get through to poop out a bunch of treasure tokens. For removal, don't leave home without your staples, but some notables to pack. Spine of Ishta destroys any permanent, so pretty versatile, and it can be copied by Mishra's Warform. For wipes, Portal to Phyrexia is usually a one-sided one, and even going against token decks, casting this and copying it will eventually whittle their board down. Phyrexian Scriptures is a saga that unfortunately is a bit telegraphed, but it lets us save Mishra first before wiping the board. Followed by Graveyard Hate, that's usually pretty relevant. Plus, they both reference Phyrexia, so how's that for some flavor? Now, I don't like the blue one, because one, it refunds everybody, so you're still dead to like token decks, but also, facing Mishra out sometimes is kinda annoying, so pass for me. I also want to take this opportunity to talk about one of my new favorite board wipes, Blood Money. I have yet to draw it in a real game, but conceptually, it sounds good. I mean, even if we wipe Mishra, we get refunded with treasure so we can pay for the commander tax, or if there are enough creatures, we can recast him on the same turn. Now, I do find that a small counterspell suite is also necessary. Artifacts are fragile, and a Vandal Blast or something along those lines can feel like a game over. So pick about 4 of your favorite counterspells and just run with those. My build draws us a crazy amount of cards if it gets going. Ichor Wellspring and Idol of Oblivion take advantage of the fact that Mishra copies them with its Warform token, while Joyra, Thoughtcast, Thirst for Knowledge, and Reality Heist take advantage of the fact that we're running a lot of artifacts. Don't sleep on the heist, digging 7 deep to look for action is pretty good. An insane card draw shenanigan that I like is Coveted Jewel. Now picture this, you play Mishra, say turn 4, right? And the next turn, you play the Jewel. It draws you 3, and then you enter combat. You copy the Jewel, you draw another 3. So now you have 6 new cards with essentially 6 untapped mana. You're in Value Town, baby! Now, I know that someone can just smack us and take it, and we might never get the Jewel back. But you know what? That's life. I'll take draw 6 for 6 with 6 untapped mana for the turn any day of the week. Like you have popped off. Now lastly, I generally don't run tutors, but in this case, I do run Treasure Mage. It's a budget option. It tutors out an expensive artifact, which means it can get us a Portal to Phyrexia or a Coveted Jewel. It's more fun for me than like a Demonic Tutor, because it forces you to go for the fun play, even if it wasn't gonna be the most optimal one. Now Mishra and his Warform are pretty much gonna carry our deck, but that doesn't mean we can't give him a bit of help. Panharmonicon doubles up our creature and artifact triggers, and Sculpting Steel can be kinda like that too, in that it enters as an outright copy of any artifact in play, including our opponents. Now, speaking of which, I run a trio of artifacts in Cursed Mirror, Machine God's Effigy, and Imposter Mech. These three all copy creatures, but they stay as non-creature artifacts. This means Mishra can copy these guys in case someone's running some really good value creature like an Archon of Cruelty, Sun Titan, something like that. And Cursed Mirror in particular is really good because when the Warform copies it, we can then choose to copy a different creature every time it enters. A lot of versatility there. Strionic Resonator is also a terrific card, and while the go-to will be to copy Mishra's beginning of combat ability, there are a lot of other powerful triggered abilities in the deck, like from Portal to Phyrexia, Coveted Jewel, Might Stone, Weak Stone, and yada yada yada. We've been referencing a lot of late game bombs, so here's our chance to cheat them in earlier. Goblin Welder and Arkham Dagson are powerful, but they also cost like $20 each. And plus I don't have them in my collection, so that's why I don't run them. But what I am running are the likes of Audacious Reshapers, Muzio, Visionary Architect, Smelting Vat, and Indomitable Creativity as like some type of chaos cheat cards. They'll get us big things into play early, or not. I mean, it could be small things too. There's no top deck manipulation, so heart of the cards, right? For more control though, Master Transmuter and Jorah Ageless Innovator let us cheat things from our hand into play. And lastly, Trash for Treasure lets us swap out artifacts from our yard into play. These are the cards I run, but honestly, a They're Ready Scrap Savant or even a Scrap Mastery can be good choices as well. So check what you have in your collection and just have fun with it. Now on to the Dirty Dozen. There are finishers, and when they come down, we're looking to close the game out with them. They're not actually a dozen, I didn't dedicate that many card slots to them, but I wanted an Eminem reference, so there you go. Blast Furnace Hellkite and Hellkite Igniter have that out-of-nowhere knockout power. The way Blast Furnace Hellkite's ability is worded, it gives double strike to even our opponent's creatures as long as they're attacking someone else. And the Igniter's pump ability is a mana sink, so you can keep activating it, and that might be enough for lethal once you start counting up our mana rocks, our artifact lands, and whatnot. Reaver Titan is also a way to win on just pure power. It's a 10-10 vehicle which can be crewed by Mishra, and it deals an auto 5 when it attacks. It also dodges a lot of the premium removal like Swords, Path, Beast Within, and it can't be chunked by tokens or dorks. It can also be copied by Mishra's Warform, so technically with this plus the Warform, you're already dealing 10 before blockers are even declared. Now I like running Reaver Titan, but there are two other really good vehicles to bring too if you want to go this whole vehicle biker Mishra route. Making this list is also Brudiclad Telcor Engineer. It makes a token each turn, but what's really cool is when we have Mishra out, these tokens can all become copies of Mishra's Warform. So instead of just one copy of Reaver Titan, maybe you get a bunch of them. It's typically a combo piece, but I enjoy using it fairly, or as fair as it can be, because the ability is sick, even without abusing it. Outside of combat though, Reckless Fire Weaver pings only for one, but it'll add up, and Tezia the Bridge pings for, well, a lot more than one. Lastly, Gonti's Aetherheart. Okay, so maybe I'm a hypocrite, but this is in the deck to combo for infinite turns. How does it work? Play the Aetherheart, get 2 energy. Then we copy it with a Warform, dodge the legendary rule, because it's a different name. Then we get an additional 4 energy. 2 from the original, 2 from the copy. Now all we need to do is play one more artifact. An artifact land, a mana rock, whatever. Then we'll get 4 more energy, giving us a total of 10. We can then exile Mishra's Warform for an extra turn, and that leaves us 2 energy left over. On our next turn, we copy it again, this time with all of our mana untapped, and then each artifact we play then will give us 4 more energy. So technically this can fizzle, but in every game I've played, I've never fizzled. And with the Panharmonicon in play, even just the Warform entering alone will be enough to give us infinite turns. The Reckless Fire Weaver pinging for 1? Yep, game over. UBP time. The artifacts are the lifeblood of this deck, so I protect them through Emery's Recursion, Padim's Hexproof, or Wondrous Crucible's Ward 2. The Crucible also doubles as a cheaty spell, but at 7 mana it usually means we're getting more value instead of accelerating ahead of curve. It is also cool though to copy with Mishra because we double the end step trigger. I also play some glue utility cards that just help smoothen the deck in Saheeli and Urza's Battle Boat. We get card draw, flash, a body, just cool stuff. Stuff that helps make the deck work. Finally, I'm responsible. I bring Graveyard Hate. Nile's Spellbomb. I chose this over a similar card like Soul Guide Lantern because when I copy it with Mishra, it lets me attack. See, The Lantern is an activated ability, which means I have to choose whether to attack or to draw. But by copying the Spell Bomb, I get to attack, and then when I have to sacrifice it at the end step, I still get to draw my card. And that's it for this episode. I hope you had a great time listening to me talk about my deck. I've genuinely enjoyed playing this. Win, lose, it's just cool to do stuff. Mishra can look scary, and I get that, but just have fun, draw some cards. And if you enjoyed this video, let me know in the comments, and be sure to leave a like, subscribe, and tell your friend who might like this kind of deck. And with that, stay inspired, friends, and I'll see you next time.